What is up, guys? It is your favorite Otaku Lotus here today, and welcome back to the Nerd Corner. And in today's video, I'm here. Yes, it is finally time for my final review for the series Orange, episode 13, letter 13. And I won't say I've hyped this video up, but I think this one's a little more anticipated than the rest of my reviews for this series has been, and that's because this video was either going to go one of two ways. Either I was going to rant like fuck and I was going to lose my mind and completely drag this series through the dirt, or I was going to praise it and say a lot of good things. And you know what? This series, it's redeemed itself. Not fully, but this series redeemed itself with this final episode, because this episode was nothing short of fantastic. I mean, start to finish, it was beautiful, and this was easily the best episode in the entire series, in my opinion. I mean, everything was handled so well, and just it was great. It was really great. I can't even front, and it doesn't make up for all the things that I've had issues with in this series, and I'll talk more about this later on. But let's just talk about this episode, because it starts off right where we see Naho and the girls are all making their chocolates. And for like the first few minutes of the episode, it's all about her, flashbacks to the letter, and then flashback, or panels or flashes to the letter, and then flashes to her and her struggle with trying to give Kakeru these chocolates. And she's had like 3 chances back to back where she should have given Kakeru the chocolate, and she just couldn't bring herself to do it. I'm like, we're off to a bad start, if she doesn't give this man this chocolate. Because here's the thing, like I said last week, and I've been telling people that if all the issues in the series get solved because she gives him a box of fucking chocolate, like that, I would be pissed. Like I'd be really irritated. But I would also be pissed if she doesn't manage to give him the chocolate. And I know that sounds kind of like a contradiction, but it's not, because it's like, I want her to give him the chocolate, because you know what the fuck is gonna happen if you don't. Like, don't be an idiot again. Like, this is the worst possible thing you could fuck up at this point. Like, you cannot screw up any worse than this, than not giving the man this chocolate. However, at the same time, I don't want that to be the deciding factor. Like, I don't want her giving him this chocolate just magically solve all the problems and issues that they've had in this relationship and in this series thus far. So, like, yes, the chocolate needs to be given to this man Kakeru, because dire consequences will ensue if that doesn't happen. However, I don't want that to just magically fix everything. So it's the end of the day now, it's the end of school, and she's rushing to find Kakeru. She's running through the hall. She's like, nah, I gotta give him this chocolate. Like, I can't fail. So she, at the end of class, she's like packing up her things, and she turns, and Kakeru's not there. And she's like, oh no, where'd he go? And some classmate of hers is like, oh, he left in a hurry. And she dashes off. She's sprinting. She's just running through hallways and down the stairs. And guess who she bumps into, dog? She runs straight into Ueda Senpai. And I was like, yo, shit was about to go down. I was like, yo, this could be potentially horrible. This could be really tragic, because like now she trips and falls and she drops the chocolate. I'm like, yo, is Ueda gonna like smash it? She's gonna snatch it and eat it? Like, yo, this might be like super savage. Or maybe she just might do something like slap Naho and take the chocolate. I don't know. Who knows where this could go? It's Ueda, right? We haven't seen her in a while, so I was really surprised to see her, and I was like, yo, it's about to go down. But in the end, honestly, not much really happened. Ueda was like, yo, that kind of hurt you, friends me. And Naho apologizes. She's like, I'm really sorry. And then she picks up the chocolate off the floor. And Ueda's like, I don't know who you were going to give that to, but it looks like it got stepped on. I don't think you give it to whoever it was now. And Naho's like, nah, I'm going to give it to him. I'm giving it to Kakeru, now get out the way. And she runs around Ueda and then down the stairs. And I'm like, yo, Naho is on a mission. Like, yo, I'm giving you some props right now. You are determined, girl. Do your thing. And so she runs, and she finally finds Kakeru like at his locker or whatever. And inside his locker, when he's about to get his shoes, there's a note. Apparently it's from Naho, and it's like, don't go yet, there's something I want to give you. And then she shows up right at that instant when he's reading that note, and she's like, yeah, there's something I want to give you, but I can't right now because I don't have it, even though she's clearly holding it behind her back. And Kakeru's like, yeah, nah, don't worry about it, I don't really need it. But Naho's determined, right? She's like, nah, you gonna take this chocolate. So she's like, even if it's just for a minute, please let me talk to you. And so they start walking together, and they go outside, right? And we get perhaps, maybe not the most beautiful, but top 5 most beautiful moments in this series. And that is Naho giving Kakeru the chocolate, and they're exchanging feelings, telling each other how they feel about each other. And they're both crying, and Naho's just like, because Kakeru apologizes for the way he acted on New Year's Eve, and he was like, I thought I hurt you, and I didn't want to be around you anymore because I didn't want to hurt you anymore. And Naho's like, no, you don't have to be sorry. I thought I was the one who hurt you, you know. And Kakeru's talking about how he's weak, and he lies and runs away, and that he wants to be strong, but he just doesn't have it in him. And it's getting really emotional. Both of them are teary-eyed, and the tears actually start streaming down both of their faces, and then this is what really caught me by surprise. I was like, no, she didn't, yo, she did not. So we get like this angle, right, where we can't see like past like their shoulders. It's even lower than that. Like we see Naho and Kakeru from about the waist down, and then you see Naho step in and kind of get on her tiptoes, and like it looks like she embraces Kakeru. I'm like, yo, she did not just kiss this man right now. She's not that bold. Naho's not that confident. But then as the camera pans up, we see that it was just a hug, which is still really sweet. But at first I thought maybe she kissed him, and I was like, no way, she didn't, yo. I got low-key hyped because I was like, she is not that bold right now. This is not the Naho that we've known for the past 12 episodes, yo. This can't be real life. And of course it wasn't real life because it was just a hug. But you know, I got hyped for a moment. But even still, it was still really sweet, and it was really romantic and beautiful. And so they basically exposed themselves, telling each other how they really feel. And Naho's just like, you know, I want you to be happy, and as long as you're alive, I'll be happy. You know, I want to be around you, I want to be with you, I want to know what makes you happy, etc., etc. And she's like, you know, I want to go out with you. She just straight up says, you know, I want to go out with you. And then it goes even further than that, though. She's like, let's live the rest of our lives together. Like, I always want us to be together on this. And I'm like, damn, yo, I heard of puppy dog love, but they just took it to a whole nother level. Like, you gotta remember, these characters, they're 16, yo, and they're already talking about spending the rest of our lives together. I'm like, that's deep. Are y'all really that deeply in love? After how long has it even been? Has it even been a full year since y'all met? I don't know. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, but those are some really strong feelings to have for somebody at the age of 16 that you just met within the last year. But hey, what do I know? Maybe I've just never experienced that type of, you know, romantic inclination with anybody, or you know, that type of love. What do I know? But yeah, it was beautiful. It was really, really great. And then as the story goes on, we see later on, I guess it's like the next day or maybe a couple of days later. Or no, it had to have been the next day. It's February 15th, and this is the day where Kakeru commits suicide. So everyone's like super on edge. Kakeru actually invites Naho to eat lunch, and this is something I don't get, right? How come in anime, right, it's just so easy for students at school to just get up on the rooftop? Like, you always see like delinquents are sleeping on the rooftop, or people getting into fights on the rooftop, or they're eating lunch on the rooftop, or whatever the case may be, whether they're skipping class or eating lunch, there's always students on the roof. And I'm like, yo, why is that like a thing? Like, I wish I could have just like chilled on the roof when I was in high school. Like, that'd have been like my main spot. Like, cause when I was in school, right, when I would eat lunch, I would eat in the cafeteria, but then after that, like, I would leave the cafeteria and I would go hang out in the courtyard. Like, I would just sit by myself in the courtyard, like on a bench or whatever, and just listen to music. Like, I would just chill by myself. That's just what I did. But if I could get on the roof when I was in school, I'd have been on the roof a lot. Probably would have skipped class a lot and just hung out on the roof, because that's pretty legit. And I don't know, it's just like every time I see that in anime, I'm just like, why is this a thing? Like, why is that a trope? And why couldn't I do that when I was in school? But that was a completely off-topic tangent. Well, it wasn't off-topic, but that was a tangent I didn't even mean to go on. But they're eating lunch on the rooftop, and they're talking about all this food that everybody gave them, and they're once again talking about their feelings for each other. And Kakeru, you know, he says, I never told you, but I love you. And I was expecting Naho to say I love you back, but she didn't. But then again, I remember that I think she already said that she loved him in a previous episode, if I'm not mistaken. And then like she cries tears of joy, and he's like, what's wrong? She's like, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. And smile. And yeah, the tears are falling down her face, and they're both, you know, smiling and tearful, and it's very beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. Like I said, this was the absolute best episode of Orange thus far, man. I really, really loved it. But you guys got to remember that this is February 15th. This is the day that Kakeru dies, right? So Naho and the gang, they all meet up without Kakeru in the stairwell, whatever, and they're looking over the letters and discussing, like, yo, this is the day, what should we do? And Hagisa is like, how about we just smash his bike? Because remember, like, when Kakeru finds his mom's cell phone and he reads through the messages, that's like what sets him over the edge, and then he rides his bike off into the night and into the path of an oncoming truck, and that's how he dies. And so Hagisa's like, you know, we should just break his bike. That'll stop him. And everyone's like, no, that's not how we're gonna do this. And Hagisa's like, are you sure? Because I think we should break his bike. And he's like really adamant about just trashing his bike. And like Sue was like, nah, we'll do something different. And I forget who suggested, but they're like, so should we just wait at the intersection where he's supposed to die? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know, because then it's like, how are you gonna explain that to Kakeru? Like, if he does show up there, like, what were you all just doing, just hanging out on the corner by his house? Like, I actually think like smashing his bike probably would have been the better option. You know what I mean? No bike, he can't ride off into the distance. But we see how it plays out. But first, I get this really, really beautiful flash forward to the future, right? And when I say beautiful, I just mean like artistically, like physically, like the animation and the art was fantastic. The colors and the contrast and the golden sky and the rose petals everywhere, the sakura petals, the cherry blossom petals, I should say. It was awesome. Yeah, it looks beautiful, and we see Suo holding his baby, and it's just a really nice looking scene. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, just really nice art and animation in like these flash forwards. But one thing to note is that Hagita, he's very adamant in his explanation of that, you know, because first of all, I still got to mention that the explanation as to how these letters even got to the past is still complete bullshit. Like, that still ticks me off. There's no redeeming that. The whole Bermuda Triangle bullshit, and then like we don't even see it happen. Like, we just have to assume that they somehow managed to fucking find their way to the Bermuda Triangle, dog, and sent some letters into the past, and it's just that could be a whole other video on its own. But yeah, Hagita's like, look, there's only one of two ways that this can even go, assuming that there is, you know, a possibility of these letters going to the past and traveling through time. Either one, it's a parallel world, or two, it's going to create a paradox, and either way, nothing is going to change for us, and we are never going to see Kakeru again. That's something that you guys need to understand, is that no matter what happens, even if these letters do go to the past, it's not going to change anything for us. Kakeru is gone forever. We ourselves are never going to see him again. And everyone's like, you know what? I mean, that sucks, but we have to do it anyway. Because even if it only creates another world, there needs to be a world where Kakeru doesn't die, because he deserves to live. He deserves to be happy, and there deserves to be another world where we're all happy with him. So yeah, they decide, you know, we're gonna send these letters no matter what. So then we flash back to the past, right? And we see Kakeru, you know, praying to his mother at her little shrine or whatever in memorial. And he stops for a second and he looks and he's like, Then he asks his grandmother, where the photos of his mother are, and he's like, I just want to look at them. And this is the part where he finds the box and his mother's cell phone, and he goes through the message, you know, replays the scene that we saw that, you know, leads up to his suicide. And so Naho and the gang, they're all standing on the corner, right? They're waiting for him at this intersection, because it's supposed to be like around 8 o'clock that he kills himself, and they're waiting and he doesn't show up. And so they're both relieved that he doesn't show up, but at the same time they're like, okay, we have to go check up on him. So they go to Kakeru's grandmother's house, and she's like, oh, he's not here. And he's like, she's like, he just left. And I'm thinking to myself, like, it's kind of late, it's really dark out, and you just let this man leave. Like, I don't know, when I was 16, I don't think I could just leave my house at like 8 o'clock at night. Like, I don't think that was gonna fly. I was definitely out past 8, but like leaving the crib at 8, like, I don't know, I couldn't really do that when I was that young. But hey, maybe it's different in Japan, different standards, I guess. Maybe the grandmother's just very lax like that. But so yeah, everyone panics. They all scatter, and they're like, we gotta find him. So everyone's frantically searching for him. And then, yo, this whole scene, like everything that's going on right here, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, because I was like, yes, this is what I wanted to see. Because I wasn't excited because I was hoping Kakeru was gonna die, because like, I don't want y'all to think like I'm some savage, heartless, cruel, cold-hearted bastard like that, even though maybe I am. I wasn't like hoping for his death, but I was excited and I was very satisfied, because there was still a large chance, like a strong possibility, that Kakeru was still going to die and he was still going to commit suicide. And why I was glad about that is because that means that just the sappy love scene with the chocolates and all that didn't solve everything. So everything went exactly how I wanted to, basically, in this episode, right? Like, blah, 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 I'm tripping over my words. Naho did give Kakeru the chocolate, but that didn't just magically solve everything. So I was like, yes, this is what I wanted to see. And then not to mention, I mean, not only that, but I gotta mention that the music, man, all of the music, starting from the flash forward, I guess, into the future, all the way up until the point where, basically to the end of this episode, the music was phenomenal. Like, the soundtrack has been pretty good at times in this series, but there hasn't really been any amazing tracks, I don't think. But like, for basically from like the 20-minute mark onward to this episode, like until the end, like all the music was amazing. I absolutely loved it, especially when Kakeru's walking through the night, stumbling around all by himself with tears in his eyes. Those scenes were my favorite in this entire series. That was by far my favorite, just because this was one of the very few moments where like I felt emotional, and like the music was just putting me in like this other zone, and I just was like, I was really engaged and like really invested in the series and into this episode, and I just was like, yo, this is I'm really, really feeling this. And it was kind of like dark and ominous. And like, you don't know. Like, you really don't know. Like, maybe Kakuru's really going to die here. Maybe they're going to save him. Like, we don't know if they're going to find him in time. It's very likely that he might die. And there's really no, unless you've read the manga, you don't know which way this is going to go. So I was like, yo, this could really go either way. Like, I don't know, man. We're just going to have to wait and find out. So I was like really hyped. Like, I was really tense. And so Kakeru, he's still stumbling around, he's crying, everyone's running around, they're screaming his name, Kakeru, where are you? They split up and they're calling each other on the phone like, yo, we're over here, we're over there, check over here, check over there. And Hagisa, Azu, and Taka are together, and Suwa and Naho are together, and everyone's just running frantically, shouting his name, looking for him. And I'm like, yo, this is mad tight right now, this is super hype, this is really tense. And they finally find him, right? Kakeru shows up near where Naho and Suwa are, and it's right at an intersection. And what does he do? He's standing there, he's stumbling around, tears in his eyes, and he steps right into the path, onto the street, just as an oncoming truck is speeding by. And then you hear the horn and everything, and it goes mute, right? And then you cut to this scene with Naho, and it's like, she's like, oh my god, and then like her hair's blown in the wind, and it's all in her face, and Suwa and everyone looks surprised, and everyone's like, holy shit, no, this can't be happening. And then Naho's like crying and screaming, and then we hear her thought process. She's like, I should have known, you can't change the past, I should have known there were no do-overs, this and that. And I'm like, yo, did he die? And in my mind I'm thinking, nah, the truck must have missed, or he jumped out of the way, because there was like, you heard like the truck, but you didn't hear like an impact or anything like that. So I'm thinking, Kakeru didn't get hit. But who knows, because Naho's making it sound like he just got hit, and like she's staring at his lifeless corpse right now. And then when we do cut to see Kakeru, he is lying sprawled out on the ground, and I'm like, yo, did he really just get hit? Like, is he dead? Like, is that it? Did he die? But there's no blood or anything like that, and he doesn't look damaged at all. So I'm like, nah, he can't be, because as everyone runs towards him, like, no, Kakeru, are you okay? For a moment, like, he lays like very still, and then we do see, that he is in fact alive, but he's crying his eyes out. And then we just get this really, really heartfelt scene where everyone's like, especially Suwa. Like, Suwa was the main not proponent, but he was like the main one involved in this. He was like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, what the hell were you doing? Like, he literally spazzed on Kakeru. He was like, what's your problem? This and that. And it's just, this episode of Orange was amazing, man. I loved it. Everything was done and executed so perfectly in this episode. It was fantastic, yo. It was fantastic. So after Suwa asked, Kakeru, what the hell is wrong with you? Kakeru's like, I wanted to die. He's plain and simple. He's like, I wanted to die. After seeing those messages on his mom's phone, just once again set him over the edge emotionally and mentally, and he just couldn't take it. And he wanted to kill himself so that he could apologize for his mom in the afterlife. That's the mindset that he had. But he says in the end he couldn't do it because he thought about what everybody would think if he died, and he also thought about, what the next day might have in store. And he was like, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. And Naho's like, no, don't worry, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And Sue was like, yes, it is your fault. If you were to die, I would never forgive you. But then Kakuru's like, how did you guys know? And Sue was like, oh, it was in the letters. And I'm like, wait, just like that? Y'all just gonna bring up the letters just like that? Like, well, I guess now that you've saved him, I guess, it doesn't matter. But I don't know. I didn't expect them to just come out and reveal the letters at the end of the episode. Like, I just thought, it'd just be like their little secret for the rest of their lives. But I guess not. So it's like, oh, it was in the letters. And then Hagi was like, yeah, we all got these letters from the future. And then they all show Kakeru their letters. And I'm like, okay, didn't see that coming, but okay. And so he's like, you guys got letters from the future? What? And he takes this like really easily. Like, I don't know, because time travel, future letters from the future, this isn't like a super sci-fi series, so it's not like that's something that's really plausible or feasible, like, or really believable. Like, I'd have had 1,000,001 questions about that, but he just like, okay, whatever, cool, letters from the future. And then they're all like, oh yeah, there's letters for you too. And apparently they each had a letter from their future selves for Kakeru, and they all hand him those, and he's reading them and crying, and he just tears of joy, and he's thanking everybody. And everybody did this one big group hug. They all hug each other, and they're all crying and laughing and smiling together, and it's like happily ever after. But that's not quite the end of the series. We still get some more scenes, just a few more afterwards, where we see they're burying the time capsule. I remember at the beginning of the series they were digging up the time capsule, where I guess this is the past or the present, however you want to look at it. They're burying the time capsule with Kakeru still alive and happy, and that's really about it. But there is this one funny scene where Kakeru's like, so if there's parallel worlds, there's Is there one where, you know, like Sua and Naho are married or something like that? Like, that's an interesting question for him to ask. I wonder what gave him that idea. And Sua's like, no, 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 nothing like that. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. But then he looks down and he smiles and he's like, but I wish it did. And I'm like, you nigga, whatever, Sua. And I think Taka says one, and there's one where Azu and Hagita are married, and Hagita's like, no, there is not. I'm like, dog, quit being a tsundere. just admit you got feels for the girl. Like, Azu's kind of cute, dog. Just take her, dog. Take it. She's all yours. What you fronting for? I still don't get it. But yeah, that's that. And then we get another flash forward to the future with Sua and Naho and their baby just looking out into the world, admiring the trees and the blossoms and flowers and everything. And then that's pretty much how the show ends. That's how the series ends, and it's great. It's really great. So, all in all, I didn't really enjoy Orange for a lot of the episodes, a lot of scenes that went down. But this final episode redeemed it a lot in my eyes. Not fully. It doesn't make up for a lot of things that I had issues with, like I said earlier. But this was a fantastic final episode, and they wrapped it up perfectly. Like, I don't think I could have asked for a better final episode. Like, for what it was, this was the absolute best way that they possibly could have ended it, I think. I still would have been, you know, satisfied with this ending if Kakeru had died, but the way they handled him living and them saving him, I think they did it perfectly. Like, that was the best way that they could have done that in my eyes. So yeah, I'll talk more in the description down below. I'll give this series a rating, and all that jazz. But yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of this series as a whole? What are your thoughts on the final episode? Were you as hype and emotional in this episode as I was? I just want to say that people were comparing this series like to stuff like Your Lie in April and Anohana. I don't think this is anywhere close to any of those series. Like, not even close. Like, nah. But it was decent. It was decent at best. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. See you guys, stay tuned for all the awesome content I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. So I will catch you guys next time. Later.